Hello everyone, I am Snigdha Kakkar and this is my channel AccelerateAICareers. Today we are going to solve a very interesting LeetCode problem, LeetCode 71, Simplify Path. It has been asked by Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta and Google in their last 6 to 12 months of interviews. So it's a very important question, especially for stacks. So now let's see what does the question say. You have been given an absolute path for a Unix style file system. Like whenever you work on your computer, do you remember that the file path starts with the root directory and begins with a slash? Transform this path into its simplified canonical path. So in Unix file system, a single period signifies current directory, wherever you are in. A double period signifies an directly up one level. Multiple slashes such as double slash are interpreted as single slash. So in this problem, we have different rules, but we treat sequence of periods not covered by any of these previous rules, whether it's A, B, C, D, E, F, any kind of file name or more than 2 dots. In that, we treat them as file names only. So we can regard them as valid file names or directory names. So the rules for simplifying canonical path are as follows. It should always start with a single slash. Directories within the path should be separated by only one slash. There should not be more than one slash. So if there are 2 slashes, we reduce them to 1 slash. It should not end with a trailing slash. There should not be any slash in the end. And it should exclude any single or double periods used to denote current or parent directories. And finally, the return value should be your new path. So I hope the rules are clear. If not, let's look at some examples and understand. So here you have slash abc slash double dot. So as you know, double dot signifies one directory up. So what would be the result? The result would be just slash, because you entered abc directory and then you entered one directory up. So you are popping out abc basically. Now here in this example, you have slash abc slash dot. So basically you first enter abc directory and then you are going into the current file or current directory. You can ignore the dot here. Your result would be slash abc. As it has been mentioned, you cannot end the result with a trailing slash. We ignore the slash as well. Now, for example, here you have been given slash a slash b slash c slash double dot slash double dot. That's your example. So first of all, I enter directory A, then directory B, then directory C. After that, I go one directory up because there are double dots. That means I'm popping out C from my stack. Then again, I go one directory up. That means I'm popping out B from mine. And I cannot end my string or my result by a backslash, so I have to ignore this. So my result would be backslash A. I can show it to you with the functioning of a stack. So if I have double dots, I'm actually using a stack for storage of these values of current directories, whatever current directory comes. And in the case where I have double dots, I pop one current directly, the most recent one. And if I do not have double dots, I keep on appending them to my stack. So for the above example, like slash A, slash B, slash C, slash double dot, my stack would somewhat look like I add A to the stack, then I add B to the stack, then I add C to the stack. And finally, the double dot forces me to pop out C. And the next double dot forces me to jump one level up, that is pop out level B. And finally, I have only A left in the stack, which I can return after joining with a slash. So these are few examples. Let's look at one more example here. So you have been given an input slash double dot slash abc double slash dot slash def slash. So this is your string given to you here in example. So if you try to reduce it to the simplified canonical form, you will first start the string with a slash, right? After that you have a double dot. But once you are in root directory and as soon as you want to go one level up, you cannot go just one level up from the root directory, right? So we're going to ignore this double slash. This double slash will lead you nowhere, so we ignore it. After that, you have another slash, but you cannot have 2 slashes together because 2 slashes reduce to 1, so I will ignore that. Now we'll have ABC, so I'll go into the ABC directory. After that, we have double slashes, but we cannot have doubles, we'll have a single one. After that, we have a dot. Dot just shows that we are in current directory and we need to ignore any kind of dots coming to show current or one up directory, so ignore it. Again, we have a slash, but two slashes cannot be together. We already have one slash here, so we ignore it. We combine two slashes into one. Then we go to DEF directory. And finally, you cannot end your return path in slash, so ignore the last slash. So this would be your result for this particular input value. I hope this is clear. Let's look at some examples given in the question as well. So example 1, your input path is /home/. So you start with a slash, then you enter home directory, but you cannot end in a trailing slash like given in the question, so you ignore that slash. And that's what has been shown in the example here. The trailing slash should be removed. Now in example 2, you have been given this input path /home/4/. So you start with /home, as simple as that. The two slashes after home reduced to one slash, because you cannot have more than one slashes together. Then you enter the foo directory and you cannot have a trailing slash. So this would be your output. Now in example 3, you have been given /home/user/documents/pictures. So if you start in the beginning, it would be /home/user/documents, but then you are going one level up. So you are popping out documents. So we remove documents from there, and then you enter pictures. So /home/user/pictures. That's your answer. Let's look at another example. So //. So you start with slash, but then you go one level up, but you cannot go any level up from the root directory. So you ignore those double dots. Then you have slash again, but you cannot have two slashes together. Hence you ignore one slash and your output is just slash. Now last example, you have this string. I'm not going to say the entire string, but you can look at example 5 here. So you start your answer with one slash. After that, you have three dots. And in the question, it has been mentioned that the three dots is a valid name for a directory or a file. So you just copy that three dots. It's not a combination of double dot and one dot or whatever dots you have. It's just a file name, okay? After that, you enter /a. So we just enter /a in our output, but then we have double dots. So you go one level up, that means you are popping out A, and hence A is not a part of your output. Now you enter directory B and then directory C. But then you have double dots, so you pop out the most recent directory, which is C, and hence C is not in your output. After that, you enter directory D. That's what is there in your output. And then you have a dot. Dot just signifies that you are in the current directory. So we'll not add that to a result. And you cannot end your result with a trailing slash, and hence that has not been, added to the output. And this is your final output. So I would suggest you try doing these examples on your own once to understand what are the logics behind reducing to a simplified canonical path. If you have any doubts, ask them in the comments and I'll proceed towards further explaining the question. Just to remind yourself, since you are looping through the entire path of the string, whatever string has been given to you, the time complexity of this question would be O of n. And since you are using a stack, like I mentioned, to solve this question, because of double dots, you have to keep track of what was the most recent directory added and whether you need to add the next directory or you need to pop up the most recent directory depending upon these double dots. Hence, your space complexity would also be O of n. So I hope that is clear. Now let's start coding it. So I will first initialize my stack and I'll also initialize my current string. So my current string will do nothing but just store my current directory or file name. It will not have any backslashes. It will not have anything else. It will just store my current most recent directory or file I am dealing with in my path. And after that, I will go loop around in my entire path given to me. But I'll also add a trailing slash just for the ease of coding here. So for character in path plus backslash. If this character is backslash, that would be your one condition. That means, you will know whether you have to add backslash or not, or whether your current file directory has ended in the name and you're going to the next file directory. So that is your one condition. And the else condition would be that there is not a backslash and current file name is still going on. In that case, that's pretty easy to handle. You just add your character to your current file name because you have not encountered the backslash yet, okay? But what if there is a backslash? In that case, you check if the current directory has a double dot. So if a current directory has a double dot, in that case you have to pop from the stack, right? Like we did in examples. So we'll first check if the stack has some characters. If stack has some characters, in that case we just pop the most recent one. As if the current is not empty and the current does not comprise of just a single dot. So in that case, we append the result to the stack. Because we have encountered a backslash, so current file or folder name has ended and it is not empty, it is not dot, so we append it to the stack. If it is a double dot, we pop it from the stack. So it's as simple as that. We are basically updating stack every time we encounter a backslash with our file name. So with our file or directory names, we are going in or we are popping out. So that's what we are doing. Here, one more thing we need to do is, whether we enter this condition or this condition, anyhow, we have to update our current string with an empty string again. We have to reset it, because if there is a double dot, we have popped it from the stack. We don't need this double dot in current mode. We need it to be empty to store the next directory. Hence, we are resetting current after this. And we have already handled the else case when there is no backslash in current character C. If it is not backslash, in that case, we append it to our current string. Now, what would be our return value? So my return value would be, so I will first start my string with a slash, and then my return value would be whatever is there in my stack joined by a slash as a delimiter. Because in my stack, we do not have any slashes. We just have file or directory names. So we will join those file or directory names using the slash delimiter, because that's what the question demands for canonical path. And we need to start it with a slash, hence I'm adding one slash in the beginning. So that's your entire code. Let's run it and see if it works. So it's accepted. Let's submit. So as you can see, the solution is quite efficient. I would remind again, the time complexity is O of n and space complexity is also O of n. Time complexity is O of n because you're looping through the entire path, and space complexity is O of n because of use of this stack for storing your file names or directory names. Now I'll just summarize the question code for you. So we first initialize the stack as an array, and we also initialize our current string value as an empty string to store our current file or folder name wherever we are. And we loop through the entire path for C in path plus a trailing slash, and we check if C, the current character we are encountering, is a backslash. If it is a backslash, that means our current file or folder or directory name has ended and we have to save it to our stack, right? So we are checking if it is a backslash. If it is not a backslash, our current directory or file name is still going on, so we add it to our current string. So that is our else condition. It's a simple one. But if there is a backslash, there are some sub-conditions. Then we check if the current string which we have is a double dot. If it's a double dot, we need to go one level up in the directory as per the rules. So we need to check if stack has some directories. If stack has some directories, it's not empty, then we pop up the most recent one. As if the current string is not empty and the current string does not have a single dot. In that case, it has some valid file or folder name, maybe triple dots or file or folder name like A, B, C, D, E, F. In that case, we just append that current file or folder name to stack. And finally, we reset our current string. The return result would be the stack results, the stack file or folder names joined by slash as a delimiter. And we also added backslash in the beginning, since everything starts with the backslash for simplified canonical form. So I hope the question is clear to you. If you have any doubts, ask them in the comments. If you like my way of solving problems, subscribe to my channel. It gives me a lot of encouragement to make more videos on YouTube like that. I make one daily. So it will also help you to stay notified about my latest updates. Thank you.